What is going on, Resident Horror family? Welcome back to the show. You know what it is. When I watch a film, a show, or I read something, I have to bring it to you directly. And today, I'll be talking about a film, no spoilers, that I watched entitled The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Before we get into that, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and that notification bell so you don't miss a video. It helps the channel out immensely, and it's free. Anyway, this is a 2016 horror mystery thriller. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 26 minutes. It stars Emile Hirsch playing Austin Tildell, Olwen Kelly playing Jane Doe, Brian Cox playing Tommy Tilden, Ophelia Lovelybond playing Emma, Michael McElhanton playing Sheriff Shelton, Mary Dudley, Parker Sawyers playing Officer Cole, and Jane Perry playing Lieutenant Wade. What is this film about? This film is about a Jane Doe. A Jane Doe is somebody that cannot be identified, so they just call them a Jane Doe. If it's a woman, if it's a male, call it a John Doe. And the sheriff in this particular town goes to a crime scene, and he cannot explain what happens, right? He shows up, and there is bodies there that are dead. And then they go into the basement, and then there's a female that is halfway in the ground and halfway out, completely naked, and she shows no sign of damage outwardly. So he doesn't know what is going on. And upon further investigation, they're trying to figure out if somebody broke into the house and did this, but they could not find any evidence of that happening. So they say right at the beginning, what if these people were trying to get away from something and they couldn't? So based on that, the sheriff really can't tell, what's going on, and he needs to answer to the press. So he can make up something for the time being regarding the people upstairs, but he has no explanation for the female downstairs. So he transports the body to the Tildens, father and son, who run a morgue. The dynamics of this is the son is going to take over the morgue at some point in time, and he's a little wet behind the ears, so the father is teaching him, right? So the sheriff brings this Jane Doe to the Tildens, right, facility, where they're going to look after her, and the sheriff tells them, like, listen, I need answers right now. I need answers. I need to know something that I can relay to the people because I don't know what to say about this Jane Doe. So they decide to do overtime and work on the body. Of course, you know how that goes. They're cutting it open and taking out organs. And at this point, it becomes like this investigation, crime type thing on finding out what happened to this Jane Doe. Very haunting, an unsettling movie when it comes to this, because you have this deceased body that you're looking at, and you know that something is wrong and something can happen at any moment, and you just quite cannot put your finger on it at that time. But when they start opening the body and they start seeing the internal damage that's happened to this Jane Doe, it becomes like, hey, what's going on here? Because she visibly shows no sign that indicates that she has this type of trauma internally. And if I go any more, it's going to ruin it for you in that aspect. But just know that things get wild with the body, man, and the surroundings of everything else that's going on in this morgue, because there is other dead bodies in the morgue. So just let your imagination go with that, and you'll know what happens, man. How did the actors do? Everyone in this film did a very good job on carrying this film, because films that take place in very small areas or one particular area for majority of the film, they're very hard to pull off. Everything has to be executed perfectly for these type of films to pay off and be good. And everyone did their job in this film. And I have to tell you, the antagonist, Olwen Kelly, who played Jane Doe, I gotta tell you, man, she did such a good job without saying a word. She did not say a word in this film, but she carried the film, just the presence of them using an actual live body while they did this, of course they switched it in and out with some, you know, to do when they were cutting her open and stuff, but for the most part that was her body. She had to play that being still with her mouth open, her eyes. It was so eerie, man. And that brings me into the cinematography and the way it was shot, the camera angles with her just focused on her eyes. Haunting, absolutely haunting. The film is atmospheric. It had this dread that just pulls you in. It was a really good film, man. A really good film. The scares are good. Nothing was forced. Everything just flowed. Now, moving into the sound. The sound was so good with positioning. You hear everything from the left to the right to the behind you. And while I was watching the film, I thought something was in my house. I'm like, hey, what is that? What is that? I'm like, oh, wait a minute, wait. I had to pause the movie and look. That's how good the positional sound is in this film. It would definitely keep you on your toes and keep you immersed in this atmospheric horror mystery thriller, because you're also trying to figure out what's going on as they're trying to figure out what's going on as they obtain clues from opening this Jane Doe and seeing what's actually inside and going on. Now, is this film worth the watch? As you can tell, I'm gushing about it. Yes, it absolutely gets the Resident Horror stamp of approval. But I have one major bone to pick. One major Jane Doe to cut open. No pun intended. About this film. This film requires a sequel. Because once you hear and you see what has happened to this Jane Doe, you want to know the backstory. And that probably won't happen because this is a 2016 film, unfortunately, but it would be nice for somebody to pick it up and do a prequel. You can even do a sequel because there's room for that. You can do a sequel and combine the backstory fleshed out and also the sequel. This is a character that can go on and on and on. So hopefully somebody picks it up and does that, but until then we have to make do with what we have. Go check out the Autopsy of Jane Doe. You can watch it on Netflix or you can buy the Blu-ray, man. So that's it for today. Resident Horror fans, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell so you don't miss the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the spoiler-free recommendation, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. You know what to do. Stay magical.